talked about gratitude and how important, and Steve, thank you for sending me all those beautiful things on gratitude. But the importance of gratitude practices and joyful practices being a very important part of our well-being, but also to see it as a revolutionary act, that when we are in the midst of challenge, personal, global, that if we allow our sense of gratitude, hope, and joy to stay alive and well within us, to foster this, to celebrate this, to cultivate this, this is a revolutionary act. It allows us to not have anything that is challenging steal away what is good about this day, right? So, I just lost it. I have up on my phone a blessing that I'd like to read to you. So a couple people in the class about gratitude asked about what are some gratitude practices that one can do. And I think the morning is a really great time to offer gratitude. It sets the tone for your mind and your heart for the day to be the glass half full a little bit. So if you do have a morning time of contemplation or whatever it is that you do, to offer some gratitude into that. And this isn't specifically about gratitude, but it's a reframing, I think, of recognizing the sacredness of the day. So my favorite, John O'Donohue, many of you know his work. This is a morning offering, and it's from it's an excerpt from I can't remember which of his books it's in, but it's called A Morning Offering. Okay, a morning offering. I bless the night that nourished my heart to set the ghosts of longing free into the flow and figure of dream that went to harvest from the dark bread for the hunger no one sees. All that is eternal in me welcomes the wonder of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter waves of desire I am sure to, and all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. So sit up and close your eyes, or stay lying down. You don't have to get up, Maggie. But just have a moment to ground yourself. Let's have this deep respect for the new day, the possibilities. And can we be courageous enough to have an open mind, an open heart, and choose the path of light? Settle into the body. Let's have deep gratitude for this body of ours that carries us around. Let your breath flow into you like a spring breeze through open windows. It's fresh, new, bright energy. Dissolve the exhale. Let it release. Come home into your body. Can you plant yourself into your physical form well. So ground, feel the earth support you, feel the weight of your bones. Kind of scan yourself until you notice all unaccounted for. And just offer little moments of gratitude. I'll say a couple, but you do your own. I give thanks to my breath for nourishing me. I give my thanks to my hands that will serve me today in my work. I give thanks for my nervous system that shares with the world and tells me so much. I give thanks for my heart that's beating so strong. I give thanks for all the unseen systems that are online and working well. I give thanks for my limbs that carry me through the day. I give thanks for my senses that help me to know my world. I give thanks for my perception of the earth below me. I give thanks for my mind that is clear and capable. Just take a moment to add any others that are coming to you. All right, place your palms together at your heart and offer an intention for your practice. How can your practice serve you? Let's release the hands and let's come on to your back. All right. So find your way onto your mat, feeling into a state of awakening the body as you lie down, breathing deeply, stretching your limbs. Maybe your arms come overhead and you have that sense of that morning stretch kind of vibe where you're really just awakening the body. Maybe stretching the right side a little longer than the left side, or the opposite. Okay. So just enjoy and feel the awakeness, gratitude for moving all of our places that we easily move. Bring the knees into the chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. All right, let's circle the knees. Just feel the movement of your sacrum on the floor. Okay, and let's go the opposite direction. Feel the movement again. All right, let's pull our knees away from each other and bring them back in toward the midline, just awakening the hip joints. Notice what's available in your range of motion here right now. All right, right knee into the chest, left leg on the floor, and roll your wrists, not your wrists, your ankles around. See if you can wiggle your toes. Just wake up your lower extremities a little bit. Get your feet ready to support you. Deep compression in the knee and the hip. Feel that squeeze. And then release and change sides. Left knee into the chest. Keep moving the feet if you'd like. Keep moving the ankles. Deep, deep compression. So feel the compression in your knee. Feel the compression in your hip. Whatever you're capable of doing for your joints today. Give a good squeeze there and then release. Stretch your limbs wide, arms overhead. Feel the spine come into a little teeny bit of an arch. Wiggle your fingers and toes out there, and then exhale and bring your knees and head up toward each other. A couple of more times, feeling that spread out nature of the star where we're expansive, and then as our breath leaves us, we come in and compress, condense toward the center. One more time. Enjoy. We're welcoming ourselves into our practice. Put your head back down. Put your legs down. Just rest for a couple of breaths. Feel the weight of your body. Give it over to the earth. Feel that sense of grounding and yielding. And let the return, the feeling of support hold you. Notice your breathing. You ready? Let's roll ourselves over onto our side and use your arms to push yourself up. Okay. Let's find ourselves onto our hands and our knees. Let's start moving through some cat-cows. Okay, so enjoy the movement of your spine. Deep gratitude for the way your spine can move today. Okay, opening up. And then start to move. Swivel around, see what it feels like. Move any way you want to move. You can wag your tail about. You can move some circles through your head, your shoulders, or your pelvis. Just wake up any little parts of your spine in the way you want to be mobile. We're going to stretch back towards child's pose. Take the arms, hands out in front of you if your shoulders can manage that. Drop some weight down into the sit pose. And feel free to rock a little bit, moving into the right, moving into the left. Notice, are you able to compress in the hips and knees easily? How are your shoulders feeling? Just know that you can modify any action to support where your body is capable of moving. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat and drop some weight into the right sit bone. Open up the rib cage, relax the neck. Take advantage of the space for a beautiful breath. All right, let's go over to the other side. Stretching through your limbs here, dropping some weight into the hips. Breathing deeply. Come back to center. Go ahead and come up onto all fours. Let's start moving through the spine. So feel free to wag the tail. Feel free to move around in your skull again. And then eventually finding your way up to dog pose. Okay, so enjoy your posture. See what it feels like to move in through your spine, lengthening it as best as you can. It might feel good to pedal your feet. It might feel good to sway a hip. Just do what feels right in your body. Open things up. Let's feel the reach of the femur bones up and back. Lengthen through your spine. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana Fold again. Relax your neck. Feel free to wag your tail, shimmy here, move anything you want. You can bounce, whatever feels nice. We're going to come into a halfway lift. As you come here, stay for a moment so you can put your hands on your legs or on blocks or on the floor. Feel the arches lift all the way up. And I don't just mean the inner arches, but the outer arches too, like you have a bootstrap around the middle foot. Lift up, up, up to the groins and the outer hips. Lengthen through your femur bones. Lift them up and take them back. Spread the bones of your feet and feel the spine lengthen. How's your breath here? All right, let's bend your knees and relax. Again, drop your seat, lift your chest, rise up, bringing the arms to the sky, open up through your heart, lean back if it feels nice. Let's cactus, open the arms, shoulder blades hug toward each other, and then exhale and round your forearms, tuck your chin. Interlace your hands, press them straight up in the air. And while you're here, let's reach over to one side, grounding through both feet evenly, four corners of each foot rooting. Find your breath, rise up and over. Come back to center, interlace your hands the opposite way, and find your way over to the other side, extending through the ribs, rooting through your feet, opening up the breath. And then coming back to center, cactus, opening the arms, and then release them down. Shake your hands, just like we kind of roll out our feet in the beginning of class. Maybe open and close your fists and roll your wrists. Then interlace your hands behind your back, open the chest, bend your knees and stretch open through your shoulders. Let your neck dangle a little bit. It's okay if your hands don't come away from your spine very far, but just go where you go. Unlock the elbows a smidge, and then release the hands. Halfway lift, thigh bones move back, lift the arches, ground the four corners of those feet. Exhale and melt. Again, step back to dog pose. Long spine here, breathing well, yield. So four corners of hands, also spreading across the toe beds. Find the floor, reach into it, and then reach away from it. Feel the spine grow. Relax the neck. Focus on your breath. What can be given to the breath here? Your attention for sure can be given to the breath. Maybe you give some space to the breath. And let's come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady. Stretch your calves, stretch your heels back. Engage your core. Find that you're not just rounding the spine, but that there's a sense of stability in the back and front body in balance with each other. Breathing well. All right, let's put our knees down and find the ground. Shoulders roll a few times. Just get used to that awakening. And then inhale to open up to Cobra Pose. Big chest broad. Exhale and melt back down. Enjoy the sensations that you're feeling. Stretch your legs. Rise up again. Exhale and come back down. We're going to take our fingertips on the floor a little bit forward of our shoulders and out to the sides. Inhale, rise up again. Turn your head to the right. Open chest. Exhale, come down one more time. Lifting on up. Not too much for the low back. Turn the head left. Exhale and float back down. Come on to all fours. Move the spine around. Okay, so take advantage of just freedom in space. Open chain, let things move. Come back to dog pose when you're ready. So stretch up and lengthen through your spine, breathing well. Femur bones up and back. Hug the hands toward each other on the mat so we have that sense of stability. Lift your right leg up in the air. Square the hips at first so the left hip lifts up and back. Find your breath. And then when you're ready, stack open the right hip on top of the left. Stretch open through the inner hip, the rim of the belly, whatever feels good here. You can bend your knee or straighten your leg in the air, your choice. Notice if you're collapsing through the left side. See if you can lift under the left armpit, lift under the left groin, take your hip up and back. Square things up again. Find your breath if you lost it. Deep inhale. As you exhale, knee to chest. Hug it on in. Inhale, bring that leg up and back. Now we get to plant our foot forward and come to a lunge. All right. If you like using blocks, grab your blocks, open up the chest, and let's start moving. Straightening the front leg a bit, tucking the chin toward the chest, and finding some bending and straightening through the front knee. Breathing well. All right, let's ground ourselves into a lunge. When you're ready, take a rise upward. Now remember, hands can go anywhere you want. Maybe you're having a day where you're trying to really conserve your energy and you'd rather just keep your hands down and stay close to the center of the body. Maybe you're having a day where you're really bright and ready to have this enlivened sense of energy so you can reach your arms and build some energy in the body. Breathing well. Whatever you're doing, you're breathing well. All right, let's release the hands. Walk your front foot back, come into dog pose again. Try to balance out your 2 feet, so kind of sway left and right until you feel like there's some steadiness happening bilaterally. And then let's repeat that on the other side. So left leg lifts, hips are square, so right femur bone up and back. Engage your glutes in the air. Try not to lean all your weight into your left hand. See if you can stabilize through both. Stack open the hip. You can bend your knee or straighten, you decide. Notice the right side, lift under the armpit, lift the femur bone up and back. Relax your neck. Stay inside your breathing. All right, then square the hips, stretch that leg straight back. Take a deep breath in, exhale, knee to chest. All your air out. Next breath in, lift the leg up. And then bring it forward to a lunge. Any variations you need through your practice, remember you can modify everything. You can slow it down, you can speed it up, you can deepen it, you can take less. All right, let's begin to bend and straighten the front knee. Find your breath, stay inside your breath as much as you can. So it's easy when we get caught up in the sensations of our body to hold our breath or forget about our breath. Every chance you get, just keep reminding yourself to be aware of your breathing. Keep touching in. All right, when you're ready, ground your legs. Have a moment to feel that grounding where you're rooting and then you're rising. And then once again, maybe your arms want to stay low today. And gives you that feeling of more connection to the earth, the grounding. Maybe you feel a little slumped and you need a little more rise in your body today. So there's no rights or wrongs. There only is trying to marry what's happening within you and support what your needs are in this moment. So that your practice serve you instead of just be rote or this sense of expectation that I should do this or I could do this. Stay in what your body is asking for. Breathing well. And release the hands and walk your back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana. Fold and relax. And once again, wait until you feel like there's balance across your feet, that the energy levels between your 2 legs start to match a bit. And when you're ready, come to a halfway lift. The spine is growing. Relax and melt back down. Drop your seat and rise up. If you like using a block, by all means, grab a block to stick between your thighs. And you can have this high up like I have, or you can have it closer down to your knees, wherever you want. You don't have to use a block. We're going to find our way into a chair pose. So first, before you lift your arms up, put your hands on your thighs. Give some weight, press on your thighs. Give some weight down. Give some weight into the heels. And then release a little of that pressure of your hands and let your femur bones draw back toward your pelvis. Feel your sit bones widen out behind you. And then as you're ready, once you feel that you're even weighted across your feet and you have that grounding stability of the legs, start to bring your arms into the equation. Maybe you want your arms up. Maybe you want your hands out. Maybe your hands are better at your hips or at your heart, but take them off your legs for a moment. Breathing well, shoulders down, away from the ears, no matter what you're choosing with your arms. Stabilize the front and back body a little bit, especially if your arms are overhead. But either way, you want a little bit of core to support you here. Hug the block if you're using it. So you teach your core that your inner thighs are part of your core. And then we're going to come up to stand on our tippy toes. A little bit of balance. Finding breath. All right, and then place the heels down onto the ground. Release the block. Rise up. Take a breath. Exhale, bend your knees and fold forward. Which foot do you like more? Do you lean your weight into one foot more than the other? Typically, just find your patterns. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, and fold. Step your left foot back. We're coming into a lunge again. All right, so plant your back heel down onto the ground and find your way into a low Vira 1. So first, hands back, palms facing the floor. Engage your back body a little bit. Round through your feet. And then when you're ready, maybe your arms come up over your head. Maybe they stay at your sides. Maybe your hands are at your heart. So find your way into Virabhadrasana 1 in whatever way that supports you today. How is your breath? Breathing into the openness of your chest, no matter what your arms ended up doing. Ground through your two legs. From here, we're going to turn and open up to the side and come into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So find your way. Shoulders come down away from the ears, grounding your body. Let's move with breath. Inhale. Arms can come up or toward the chest. Exhale and bend your knee, arms out to the side. One more time. All right, now keep that breath pace going. Stay in the pose. Relax the shoulders. Enjoy the sense of broadness, the sense of stability in the body. Now open up the breath. Put your arms anywhere that supports you best. Where is your breath most supported? All right, we're going to place the elbow on the knee and stretch your arm overhead. If you'd rather put your hand on the floor or on the block for Okanasana, go for it. Okay, touch into these standing poses. They give us stability, stamina, a sense of endurance, capacity for resiliency, and they do wonders for our hips. So let's feel into the work of our pelvis. Try to open up that right hip as much as you can. Spinning the foot, toes turn right, heel turns left. Turn on some of those deeper muscles. And then rise back up. Point your feet straight, find your breath. Inhale to a standing star. Maybe your arms are down instead of up if that's what's better for you. Breathing well. Hands come toward each other. We're going to go backwards through those three poses. Turn your feet over to the left. Start in Okanasana. Open up your body. Stretch through your limb. Now, see if your arm overhead does not feel good, you can try bringing it straight out to the side or keeping your hand on your hip or just resting your arm on your leg. Maybe a little flattering of the hand. So find what works for your body. Shoulders are away from the ears. Feel the grounding of your feet as you press into the earth. Give some effort into the pelvis. Breathing well. It's okay to turn the back hip toward the front knee a little bit if you need it for ease across your sacrum. Around four corners of your feet. Spreading the toes, see if you can spin your foot a little bit. So left turn, toes turn left, isometrics. Nothing's actually moving. Left heel goes right just a little bit. Turn on the light bulbs in your glutes. All right, we're going to come on up. Let's move through here. Arms up. Exhale, Vira 2. Arms in. or up, your choice. Exhale, Virabhadrasana 2. Now, while we're here, remember, you can take any variation with the arms that feels spectacular for your capacity for breathing. Relax the shoulders. Try not to pull your shoulders up toward the ears. Let the base of your skull soften. Let the fingertips soften. Feel the rooting, the grounding in the legs, the work of the legs. Climb up. Go ahead and turn your back foot. So we're going to come, I'll face forward now. See if you can turn the hip, ground your legs. So adjust your feet so that you can be in Virabhadrasana 1. Lean forward. Okay. Arms are going to come back to begin, palms facing the floor. Ground through your legs as best as you can. Find the breath. And then as you're ready, start to come up in this posture. Maybe your arms come up overhead. Maybe the palms are together. Maybe your head tips back. Maybe you're leaning forward a little bit. Maybe your arms are still back. Maybe your hands are on your hips. Modify this posture to give you the ground and give you the sense of space and openness across the heart, through the spine. All right, exhale and release the hands. Come back to dog pose. Ground yourself. 4 points of contact, four limbs of contact. See if you can have that sense of yielding, grounding. Root and then rise. So we're yielding and then pushing and reaching through our spine. Okay, let's come forward into a plank. Stabilize yourself. Integrate your core. Find deep breaths in. Move out. All right, you can put your knees down onto the ground. We're going to come onto our back for a moment. So you need one block. All right, so ground your feet for a moment. Just enjoy a change of perspective. You know, we were just standing up. Now we're on our back. We're going to go back to standing up. So just feel into what this feels like now. We're going to do a little hip flexor core work here. So you're going to take a block, and depending on your body, you can have the block against your thigh in the long length or the middle length, whatever feels good. And we're going to take our forearm to the block. Okay, so if you feel a little bit more stable with the block longer, that's fine. So you do you. So whatever is the proper action for you. And then you have a choice. So this is our left leg that we're doing this. Left arm on block, that's on left knee. You have a choice. If you want to make this harder, you can put your arm overhead. A little easier is your arm out to the side. A little easier is your right arm down next to your hip. Okay? Lift your right leg straight up in the air. So you get to decide where you're going to be with that arm. Okay, we're going to lower. Oops, I'm running out of room with my tiny little living room here. We're going to lower our right leg toward the floor and lift the right leg back up. Now you can choose bent knee and tap the heel and lift up. You can choose to straighten your leg and then bend your knee to bring it back up. And hardest, be very mindful if you're doing this variation, is to keep the leg straight. I would recommend knee bent and leg coming straight as a middle ground, and then decide if you need to go more or less from there. All right, so now stay in the breath. Now notice, obviously our two sides are doing two different things. See if you can stay in balance. We're gonna do 10, so I think that's 3 for me, but you go where you go. Now, how is your breath? Are you able to stabilize, relax your neck? You can always relax and go less if need be. Try to stabilize through your center. Okay, I think that was 10 for me, but don't worry if you mess up counting. It's not a big deal. If you do 8 on one side and 10 on the other, you're not gonna, totally disturb your equilibrium. Pause for a moment with 2 feet on the ground. Return to that sense of symmetry. So obviously, many times through the day, our left and our rights are doing oppositional things or just non-synchronicity, lack of synchronicity in our 2 sides. So see if you can come into the balance of the breath. And then we're going to switch sides when you're ready. And so right forearm or right elbow on the block. You can have the knee higher, you can have the knee lower, just place it where your body says, oh, I can stabilize there. Okay. So remember, arm up overhead, arm out to the side, or arm down at your side. You can even stick your hand on underneath your glutes a little bit for a little bit more ease for your back. Okay, now you decide whether you're going to keep the knee bent and tap a heel or a toe, and then bring the knee back up. Perhaps you're going to straighten the leg and then bring the knee back up. And then be very careful if you do the version of your leg entirely straight, because that's a very big movement for your body. Okay, so I'm going to go middle ground here, but you choose you. Take a deep breath in, keep breathing as you go. I would recommend inhaling on the way up and exhaling on the way down, but if you feel better doing the opposite, the most important thing is that you're not holding your breath. Are you trying to have some balance between the 2 sides? Can you rest your neck? Can you relax the base of your skull? Feel the stability of that right leg, right hip flexors, right core as you open up the left. Relax once you're done. 2 feet on the ground. Find a sense of balance. Round your femur bones into your pelvis. Inhale and lift up into a bridge. Rock onto the tops of your shoulders. Root the feet, 4 corners. Open up and balance the 2 sides of your pelvis. Your psoas is opening up and lengthening. Breathe deeply. All right, let's lower ourselves down. We're going to roll over onto our side and come up onto your hands and your knees. So hopefully your psoas muscles, your hip flexors are awake now. Let's take your right leg straight back behind you and your left arm out in front of you. Integrate. Try to hug your hand and your knee on the floor slightly toward each other so that you're turning on your psoas on that leg that's on the floor. Extend through the spine. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, tuck underneath, elbow comes toward knee. Maybe they touch. Inhale, slowly bring it out. Feel what's happening in your core. One more time. We're going to do 3 of them. All right, place that hand and knee down onto the ground. And let's even things out. One more time. You can even do a cat-cow or just be here for a moment till you get to that level of stability, and then we're going to change sides. All right, so now our left leg is out and our right. Hold on. See if you are holding your hand. I think it's just that auto thing in your because your arm's coming up. But if you have a question, anybody has a question, just speak right up. Okay, so we're holding steady. Notice the psoas of your rooted leg on the ground. Try to have some balance across your core. Find the breath. Exhale, touch elbow and knee underneath you. And inhale and lengthen that arm and leg out. Go slow. So you can really feel the stabilizing that's happening while you move. Try to reduce the wobbles. And when you're ready, hand and knee comes down. Child's pose. Just steady yourself here, breathing well. When you're ready, come up to dog pose. Long spine, thigh bones up and back. Extend through the backs of your legs. Enjoy your breath. Walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Drop your seat and rise up. If you like a block between your thighs, take a block between your thighs. You don't have to use a block between your thighs. Okay? Find chair pose again. Now, see if you can turn on not just your inner thighs, but your hip flexors. Use your psoas. Imagine you're trying to lift yourself off the floor, like you want to pick your feet up off the floor. So feel the work of those deep hip flexors in your belly. Simultaneously, and do you have strength more on one side? If you imagine trying to pick 2 feet up off the floor right now, does one feel easier than the other? Okay, then stand up straight, open the chest, and relax. Take the block out of there. Bring your legs together or apart, you decide. We're going to come again into chair pose, but we are going to lift. We're not going to lift both legs up because that would be levitating, but we're going to lift one at a time. So find your way. Now, if arms overhead is a little too strong for your body today, for your shoulders or your back or your neck, then make a different choice, okay? We're grounding here. Sometimes having arms overhead makes this a little challenging balance-wise, so you can even bring your arms out for better balance. We're gonna root into our right foot. Now, before you lift your left leg up, try to imagine that the only thing lifting it is that left hip flexor, that the action is coming from there to lift. Glutes are turned on, open the breath. And then we're gonna stand up straight on that leg, lift the knee. All right, so the knee is in line with the hip. We're not bringing it super high. Bringing in, feel into the hip flexors, lifting your leg up. And then place that foot down onto the ground. Toes can be together, feet can be hip width apart. You decide. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, chair pose again. Maybe the arms out to the side or down helped your balance. We're going to root into the left foot. See if you can just, at first, deepen the roots, right, of that left leg. So you're feeling your glutes turn on, you're feeling the work. Now try to lift your right leg from that psoas instead of hiking your hip up. Lift from your deep hip flexors. One-legged chair, breathing well. And then we're going to rise up, lift the knee, using that. Imagine you still had a block between your elbow and your knee. Breathing deeply. And then relax. 2 feet on the ground. Enjoy your balance. Take a deep breath in. We're going to stand on our right foot, this time straight leg instead of bent, and we're going to lift the knee up. Now, as you do this, you can do this with a block if you want, just because it has a little bit more length, gives some length to your arm. But as we lift our right leg up, you're going to press resistance against your knee or thigh. And usually you can feel your hip flexors if you push the block higher on your thigh. Oh, you know, everybody's a little different, so just feel into it. And then take that block away, arms come up. Using your hip flexors, engage your core, and now twist to the side. Finding the breath. Thigh bone back of that standing leg, reach the crown. And then relax and place that foot down onto the ground. All right, so we're rooting here. Okay, you can put your hand on a block on your leg. Now, what happens often when we stand on one leg is we just kind of, bear all our weight or we lean over. See if you can have that sense of balance so that your leg that you're standing on is stable. Your knee is a little bent, so it's soft. It's not super bent, but you have a micro bend in there. You can put your hand on a block, or you can put your hand directly on your leg, whichever is better for your body. Have resistance on the way up. Feel into your core, breathing well. Once you're there, reach the arms up in the air. Try not to let that hip sag. Hug it in. Twist to the side when you're ready. Try to hold yourself from your deep belly, from your hip flexors, your transverse abdominis, instead of just, feeling like your outer hip is holding you up or something else. And then release and melt that leg back down. Relax, just let your legs be easeful. Come into balance, finding the breath in and out. Take your legs wide. Okay. Last time we'll go through some standing poses. We're going to come into Virabhadrasana. And you can do this with a block if you want. You can have a block on your thigh to press your hand into, or you can just have your hand. I find it easier just with my hand. But I want you to imagine that your whole foot, not just your heel. So it's easy to think, oh, I'll lift my heel. Keep your heel down. Imagine your whole foot lifting your thigh up in the air, okay? And then let go of your hand and come into Virabhadrasana. Notice the hip flexor work in this posture. We often neglect this deep front hip work that happens. We feel it in the back leg because it's stretching, but a lot of times we rely on other muscle groups in that front leg. Feel into the work of the psoas. Straighten the leg for a moment, and then come into Okanasana. Now this one's easier because you have something against your knee, so it's a closed chain. You have some feedback. So as your elbow is on your thigh somewhere or your forearm, lift into it, not by lifting your heel. See if you can imagine your whole foot lifting and engage through the hip flexor. Breathe your way here, lengthen. Now fall asleep in your psoas and just notice the sink that can happen. So our psoas, our hip flexors, give it enlivening sensation to our pelvis. And then rise up. We're going to repeat those two poses on the other side. As we come into Vira 2. Now, if you want to start with your hand on your knee so you have some resistance, you can do that, maybe a block. And then eventually take your hands off your leg and imagine you're trying to lift your thigh bone up in the air. Levitate through that foot. So normally I say ground, right? Press into the earth, and we do, and that's important. But just for now, imagine the work that has to happen here. Now see if you can work the hip flexors and press the foot at the same time. Now let go of the work of the hip flexors and notice what happens. Do you sink somewhere? Okay, straighten the leg. Let's come into Virabhadrasana. Now this posture has a little bit more awareness attached because the elbow is on the knee. So lift into the weight of your arm. Find your breath. Feel the work of the front side of the pelvis in this posture. Now share that with the back of your head. Press into your foot, spin your foot into that jar lid. Keep working the hip flexors. Notice if it takes a burden off some of your other muscle groups. Now relax your hip flexors. Notice the difference. Okay, let's straighten the legs. Standing star. Deep breath here. And then we're going to exhale and fold forward. You can put your hands on blocks if you want, or the ground, thigh bones back. So now we're in a soft flexion, passive flexion. All right, and then if you can, spin back to the front of your mat, dog pose. If you're skipping dog poses, here's a good one to skip. You can just come into all fours or whatever you want. If you are in dog pose, try taking your feet wide and turn your toes in.
The psoas muscle, you know, this will help release your hip flexors, release your inner thighs. All right, come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady, integrate into the core. All right, put your knees onto the ground and find your way to the floor. Breathing well. Take your fingertips onto the ground again. Inhale and lengthen up. Breathing deeply. Exhale and melt back down. Put your left hand in front of you. Grab back to your right foot and stretch your quad. Now, if this is too much, you can always roll over onto your side, grab your foot. So just find the pathway that's right for you. If this hurts your back, you can always do this pose on your side. Just stretching your quadriceps. And release, change sides. So we're not quite stretching our psoas yet, our hip flexors, but we are stretching our quads, which should feel good. So let's enjoy that feeling. Once again, deep gratitude for what you're capable of doing in your body. Let's go ahead and come up onto all fours. Move the spine around. Now we're going to come into our psoas a little bit more to stretch. So right foot is going to come forward. Left foot is going to come back. Knee is on the ground. Now you can do this pose with your hands, up on your knee, or if you need to lean forward a little bit more, you can put your hands on something. And this will stretch your psoas well. Descend the tailbone, try not to fall. So we're still hugging the front heel and the back knee toward each other. You can even climb up onto your knee. You can even raise the arm up. You can even lean just a teeny bit over to the right, only a little bit. So find the pathway that helps you open through the hip flexors. If you're really flexible, you might want to reach back and grab onto your foot so you can stretch your quadriceps at the same time as your psoas. Your choice. And then relax. And let's come back to child's pose. Feeling that sense of balance as best as you can. And then changing sides. Now, when we switch sides and the left foot is forward, your right knee is down. If you have trouble with your knee being on the floor, there's a few things you can try. You can put a blanket so that your kneecap, you can put a blanket so that your shin, your back shin is on something, but your kneecap is kind of forward of that and has a little gap, a little space. Sometimes this is enough to take some pressure off your knee. If you can't, if you don't have the ability to put your knee on the ground, you can just do a lunge. This will stretch just as well. You can have your knee off the ground, no problem. All right, so open yourself up. Maybe your hands are forward. Maybe your hands are on the ground. Maybe your hands are on your knee. Maybe the right arm is lifting. Maybe you're leaning just a teeny bit. Think up and over to the left, not down. Hug your front heel and back knee toward each other so there's some support within the posture. And then relax and melt back to child's pose. Let the stretched rubber band kind of recoil. Breathing well. We're going to come onto our back and bring our knees to our chest. There's many things that can help us become aware and strengthen, kind of turn on our psoas. And there's also a lot of things we can do to rest, support, nourish, hydrate, stretch our psoas. These are just little examples of what we did today. In practice, bring your knees to your chest, rock a little bit, We're gonna do a simple twist. Feet down, hips over to the right, knees come up, drop left. Relax your legs. Deep breath in. Exhale to let go. Relax. Bring your knees back up. Scoot your hips over to the left. We're bringing your knees up and dropping them to the right. Knees up. Now, for Savasana, I would recommend bending your knees. So if you don't have a bolster, you can always take 2 blocks, long ways like this, and then put a blanket on top of them to create a little bolster for underneath your knees, so that when you come into Shavasana, you have the ability to be supported. And some people like the support right underneath the knees. Some people like it more under your thighs. Some people like it more under your calves. So just find where you are able to relax best. And if you have a sandbag, you can always put that right across your psoas muscles on the tops of your thighs, right at your hip bones. And if you don't, imagine. Now, for some people, having your legs a little wider apart is restful. For some people, closer together. So just find your way. And allow your body to soften into the ground. Breathe deeply. So as you settle, pay attention to the weight of your limbs. Can you get the feeling that there's just this heaviness, that your limbs, all 4 of them, actually all 6 of them, include your head and your tail as a limb. See if you can get them all to rest heavily on the floor, supported. Relax the base of your skull. Melt through your eyes and your jaw, your tongue. Deep gratitude for your breath. Feel the beauty of your breath, the gift of your breath.
Let's begin to deepen our. So sorry for all the beeping. Mindful belly. Mindfulness of our presence, of our breath. Start to breathe and move. Eventually finding movement that takes you over onto your side. And then use your arms to help lift up. As you come to a comfortable seat, let's bring our hands together in deep gratitude for our practice and for this beautiful day that we get to experience. Let's offer our energy outward. Share your intentions, your support with others. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Blessings on the day.